The Golden State Warriors of the past decade or so are undoubtedly one of the greatest dynasties in the history of basketball. Led by the greatest shooter of all time in Steph Curry, as well as another all-time great along the way in Kevin Durant, they have won 4 NBA titles over the past 9 seasons. They went to 5 straight NBA titles from 2015 to 2019, winning 3 of them, and picked up their 4th one in 2022. Durant has come and gone, but the 3 guys that started the whole thing still remain. However, the age of the group is becoming more and more obvious. Curry is the oldest of the 3 at 35 years old, while Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are both 33. I'd say it's pretty clear that while both Klay and Dray are still very productive players, they have already left their respective primes. Steph is the wild card though, as it feels like he continues to get better every season. However, the clock is ticking on the original 3's time together, and if they want to win a 5th title together, it's going to have to be soon. The Warriors originally thought they could mesh youth and upside with title pedigree and the original group, in a plan that was referred to as the 2 timelines. The goal was that after the original 3 aged out, they would continue competing for titles with the new group that developed while competing. However, 2 of the 3 young pieces, James Wiseman and Jordan Poole, have been shipped out of town, leaving only Jonathan Kuminga remaining. The 2 timelines didn't work, which the team clearly admitted by swapping Poole for a 38-year-old future Hall of Famer in Chris Paul this offseason. The Warriors are all in on committing to right now, because they also know the championship window is closing. After a weird up-and-down season last year, Golden State now brings back the best 5-man unit in the NBA with Curry, Klay, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond, and Kevon Looney. Hopefully they stick with this starting lineup and bring CP3 off the bench, but we'll see. The average age of the main 6 pieces I mentioned is about 32.5 years old, so it's clear that the group is running out of time. But the Warriors dynasty isn't over yet. Let's take a deeper look at why. Before we get into the Warriors' potential last dance as contenders, if you enjoy my content or watch a few videos of mine, think about subscribing. 91% of my viewers are actually not subscribed, so if you're watching before and enjoy the content, drop a sub and comment down below. It really helps the channel. After last season's second-round exit to the Los Angeles Lakers and everyone on the team getting a year older, I'd say a lot of people are kind of writing off the Warriors as contenders. When people talk about the Giants in the West, they usually mention 3 teams: the Nuggets, Lakers, and Suns. All 3 of those teams are very good and will be towards the top of the West. However, ignoring the Warriors is a mistake. After missing the playoffs in 2020 and 2021, many people wrote them off as well. Then they emerged from the ashes as NBA champions in 2022. There are multiple reasons to believe the Warriors will bounce back this season. Arguably the 2 best players from the title in 2022 missed a bunch of time last season. Andrew Wiggins missed 45 games and Steph Curry missed 26. I think it's fair to assume both of those numbers will be down this season, specifically Wiggins. The Warriors starting lineup was still the best 5-man group statistically in the league last season. And with Chris Paul, they'll have their best leader of the second unit since Shaun Livingston left in 2019. But the biggest thing keeping the Warriors competing for titles is the players, so let's get into the impact guys for Golden State. Despite being 34 years old last season, Steph Curry quietly had one of the greatest seasons of his career. LeBron gets a lot of credit for aging gracefully, but Steph deserves more for how good he has remained into his mid-30s. Honestly, he might be even better now than he was during their 5 straight title appearances. Last season, he averaged 29 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, while shooting 43% from 3. He also set the record for most points ever in a Game 7, with 50 points to eliminate the Kings in Round 1. The record was broken just 1 round later by Jason Tatum against the 76ers, but the game by Curry was still phenomenal. He's arguably the most gifted offensive player in NBA history, and he just continues to get better and more efficient. He also seemed angry last season and seems to have something he wants to prove. Passing LeBron for all-time rings would also start some debates that people aren't ready for. Then we should shift to the second Splash brother, Klay Thompson. It seemed to go somewhat unnoticed, at least I don't remember people talking about it, but Klay was back towards his offensive prime last season in his first full year back from major injury. He averaged 22 points and 4 rebounds per game, while shooting 41% from 3 on 11 attempts per game. He was one of the best high-volume shooters in the entire league last season. He's not the defensive stopper he was in his prime anymore, but he's still a very high-level offensive talent. He did disappoint against the Lakers in the playoffs, putting up 16 points per game and shooting 34% from the field. However, it was an emotion-filled series against his dad's former team and a team he grew up idolizing. So it could have been overwhelming and a bad matchup for him, but I'm sure Klay would be better if they match up again. The third and final member of the original three is Draymond Green. He hasn't averaged double digits in points since the team's third title in 2018. However, he still has a very high impact, being the point forward for the team and remaining one of the best defenders in the league. They re-signed him to a 4-year, $100 million contract this offseason, and it's clear they realize how valuable he is to the team on both ends of the floor. Then I'll take us to a player that I think is one of the most underrated guys in the league. That would be starting center Kevon Looney. He's not going to score a bunch of points, but his rebounding is insanely valuable. He averaged 13 rebounds per game in the 2023 playoffs and has had many 20-rebound games. During the playoffs, people were photoshopping his face onto Moses Malone and calling him Moses Malooney. He's not just a great rebounder, he's an elite offensive rebounder specifically. He creates more possessions for the Warriors, and if you allow Steph to get second chances, then you're going to lose. Despite being 38 years old, Chris Paul can still have a very positive impact on a team. Every team he joins seems to immediately take a step forward. We saw it both with the Thunder and the Suns. It's been reported that the team's plans to start him in stretches, which personally I don't like. He would be a great leader of the second unit and could help some of the younger guys like Kuminga, Brandon Pajemski, and Moses Moody to develop into more productive players. We've seen him elevate young teams in the past. I've seen some argue that Steph might be great alongside a traditional point guard, but it's not like he needs someone to create more shots for him. He can get his own shot whenever he wants. He'll likely see his points lower from the 14 a game he averaged last season, but he could retain around 8 or 9 assists because the offensive pieces around him are so gifted. I'd love to see CP3 finally get his first NBA title. Finally, we should talk about Andrew Wiggins. He missed 45 games last season dealing with off-court stuff. It wasn't an injury problem, so there seems to be no reason that it would be a lingering issue into this season. It was less than half the year, so it's hard to tell if it's sustainable, but Wiggins was incredibly efficient last season. He tied his career-high shooting 47% from the field and shot a career-high 40% from three. Early on in his career, Wiggins just wasn't an effective player from downtown, but playing with one of the best shooting groups in league history helped to raise his game as well. In the 2022 NBA Finals victory, many thought Wiggins was the second best player. He was also an all-star starter that season, which was somewhat undeserved, but he was very good. In terms of lineup, the starters should remain Curry, Thompson, Wiggins, Draymond, and Looney. The second unit should then be CP3, Moses Moody, Gary Payton II, Jonathan Kuminga, and Dario Saric. Guys like Corey Joseph, Brandon Pajemski, and Trayce Jackson-Davis could get some minutes as well. So what should we expect from the Warriors in 2024? On the low end, they could finish somewhere from 5th to 8th in the West and enter the playoffs without home court advantage. On the high end, they could finish with a top 3 seed and win their 5th NBA title. People assume the dynasty was over too early after 2020 and 2021, but with the core 3 still on the team, I'm not ready to truly count them out yet. Having the best 5-man unit in the league last season is not a coincidence. Expect at least 2 All-Stars with Steph and 1 of Klay or Draymond, but if they're on the high end, there's a chance all 3 could make it. There's also a chance you could swap Wiggins in for one of them as well. I think the team is running out of time, but the dynasty isn't over yet. Not while Wardell's Stephen Curry II is still on the floor. Thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.